Alright, hey guys, this is Polo, and I'm gonna try and just help you guys out a bit on runes and builds. Since you guys ask me all the time what I think of builds and when do I think crit and non-hits better, and just this is again all my opinion. I'm probably gonna say that again. This video is gonna consist of three things. One, it's going to consist of me showing the runes, and then the two standard builds. I would say standard because I'll show you variations, but the variations are game by game basis. You have to adapt based on the game to make Kindred extremely effective. The second thing it's going to show you is just I'm going to talk about a comparison in the pros of each Bloodrazor and Warrior. I'm just going to talk about the pros, it's a basic thing. And then the third is a very rough example of how good Bloodrazor is in team fighting and how bad Warrior is in team fighting. The reason I'm showing that is crit's really good against 1v1s and like taking down a single target. On hit with Hurricane is really good in team fighting and taking down multiple targets. So you have to build accordingly. If you're somebody who likes to split push or just take that one-on-one duel or just burst down that one carry, crit's your way to go. Crit's great. There's neither one's better than the other. The other on hit, you can shred multiple people, including tanks in a team fight, but you don't have that huge burst to just take that one person by surprise and instantly one-shot them. That's what I think is the difference between the two. I think that lethal tempo with on hit is for team fighting, and in my opinion, crit plus press the attack is better for assassinating and being a solo player. I believe crit is better in low elo, and the higher elos up you go, I believe on hit gets better. That's my opinion. That does not mean factual. There are some players who take either. I'll explain that a little bit later on. But anyways, this in my opinion is the standard rune page that I would take for crit. I'll explain each rune. Press the attack. You want to press the attack because you can auto Q, auto E, auto, which will proc the press the attack, then auto two more times, and you'll proc a huge, you'll do a lot of damage. You'll probably have the enemy down to their execute range, and then you'll get 12% extra damage from press the attack, or 8 to 12% extra damage. So you'll do a bunch of extra damage to them. It works really well with crit. It works really well with assassinating them because as you proc it, you do a little bit of extra burst damage too. You do 40 to 80 extra adaptive damage. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice for crit. That's pretty nice for crit. Not so much on hit because I mean you're already shredding people to the point where you don't need the damage. Triumph because obviously you want the healing when you take somebody down, plus extra gold is extra gold. You can never go wrong with that. I think that's like I don't think presence of mind nor overheal is worth it. You take alacrity because you want your kindred. You're an auto attack based champion. You want attack speed. Like, end of story. And then I take coup de grace because coup de grace stacks with your E. When you have a rapid fire cannon and a infinity edge, at 65%, or not 65%, I'm sorry, 45% health, the enemy takes 50% more damage from your E. Plus, if they're around 40% damage, they'll take an additional 7% damage from coup de grace, plus the extra damage from press the attack. These stack really well with crit. This rune page is really well with crit. Then on top of that, whenever you Q, you get the lethality. So, I mean, if you're trying to burst somebody down, lethality is obviously nice. Ask every assassin that you're going to play against that's going to one-shot you. And then Relentless Hunter because you want the movement speed to move around the map because Kindred has 325 base movement speed. Next, though, is the on-hit. This is for on-hit, and this, in my opinion, is what you take for on-hit. I say lethal tempo, and I did find this out from Forrest and stuff from just watching him and stuff. It actually is good, like really good in my opinion. He's obviously a very smart player. I mean, I don't have to credit him for that. Obviously, if you're watching me, you probably know Forrest is a lot better than me. But lethal tempo. So 1.5 seconds after you attack, you can break the attack speed cap, and you gain 40 to 110% attack speed. That's really, really nice because later on in the game, once you get out 4 or 5 items, you start getting into attacking 3 times per second. And when you get on 3 times per second, applying Blade of the Ruin King, Bloodrazor, Black Cleaver, Wit's End, whatever you want, that's an on-hit item, 3 times per second, you start shredding people's armor and health so fast that it's ridiculous. The issue with this, though, is it's not good for that instant burst because it takes 1.5 seconds to start ramping up. So in that 1v5, or not 1v5, I'm sorry, 1v1, when somebody jumps on you like an assassin or something, you have to wait 1.5 seconds, and that 1.5 seconds against a LeBlanc can be the difference between you living and you dying. Triumph again, because you want the health and gold. Alacrity, you want the attack speed, duh, you're building around attack speed. Coup de grace, because coup de grace. And then for this one, I take sorcery secondary. You take the celerity for the movement speed to get around the map again because you have 325 base movement speed, and you don't have zeal items. Well, you have one zeal item to give you movement speed, but then gathering storm because if you're building this, you're obviously playing around late game because lethal tempo is a late game keystone. It's not all that great early on. If you wanted an early on attack version, you would take hail blades, and then you take gathering storm because like you want to scale, you want AD, and if you get to 30 minutes, you get 29 AD. That's nice. If you get 20 minutes, you get 14 AD. That's pretty nice. Now, that's that. Okay, at the bottom right of the room page, because there's not really an easy way to show you this, like I said later on in the video, I'll show you in-game against some target dummies with just how to execute a team fight, or just showing you the damage comparison to 3 people and stuff. I'm just gonna have the build down right here, obviously on the screen. It will be right here. So, I'll explain each, like, part of it. So, you're obviously going warrior. You're going the warrior because you want the AD. When you're going for more of an assassin like damage burst type build, which crit is a burst type thing, you want the AD. So warrior, you're going with warrior. Boots, you're going with Zerker Greaves because you still want some attack speed. Then the next item, this is where it's up to you. Some people go Blade of the Ruin King. Some people go Rapid Fire Cannon. I prefer to go to Blade of the Ruin King here, mainly because it's still a nice spike. It's not as good without all the attack speed, but it's still a nice spike because it does the percent health damage, the lifesteal, the attack speed. It helps you like keep you in game and give you an earlier attack speed till you get the crit. It gives until you get the crit power spike. This is a good item. Some people though just prefer to go Rapid Fire Cannon. I'm not exactly keen on that. I prefer to go Blade of the Ruin King, then Rapid Fire Cannon, then Infinity Edge, and then GA. That's my opinion on that. And the reason I go Rapid Fire after Blade of the Ruin King is because the range increase is still nice, but the range increase, the Rapid Fire Cannon doesn't give you enough damage to justify it because the crit chance is so low on just a single Zeal item without like anything else that you're missing out on a lot of damage, and in 1v1s you're significantly weaker than if you were to say have a Blade of the Ruin King. That's why I go Blade of the Ruin King, then Rapid Fire Cannon. Then obviously you go Infinity Edge because you just want the true damage and the double crit and the, the AD. And then last item, you go whatever you want really. You can go GA, you can go Cleaver if you want Armor Shred, you can go LDR if you want Armor Shred, Mortal Reminder for Grievous Wounds. You can go Chiv if you want faster charging, Rapid Fire Cannon procs. Either one works. If you're playing fully around your E, your last item should be a Shiv. Now, that is what I would build for crit. And here, actually I don't know why I went there, excuse me. No, we don't say that. Now for lethal tempo, I would go Bloodrazor for obviously on hit. It scales well with lethal tempo. Then Zerker Greaves, more attack speed for lethal tempo. Blade of the Ruin King, because it's a really nice item spike. Combined with Bloodrazor, you do a lot of percent HP damage. It scales really well. Then it differs a bit. If they have a really magic heavy damage comp, I would do Wit's End just for the extra on hit plus the MR. If they have more of a tanky comp and they're not magic damage heavy, then I would go Cleaver. Then I go Hurricane, and then last item is really again up to you. You can go GA. You can go, if you don't have Wit's End or Cleaver, Wit's End or Cleaver. You can go Infinity Edge if you want the crit. You can go like Death Stance. You can go whatever you want last item. That's how I play around that. Like I said, in game I'll show you how to execute it. This doesn't really, like, there's no definitive way to tell you what's right, what's wrong, or what to build. Like I said, every game you have to adapt. This is the best I can do to tell you guys what to, like, to try to help you guys out. What I tend to do to learn is I go on op.gg and stuff if I'm having a bad spree and I'm losing a lot of games, and I look at players who are better than me. Just go on op.gg, look at their review, like, look at their replays, look at their builds, look at their runes, try it out. That's the best thing you can do. Adapt to how you're playing, though. But I'll see you guys in game now. Alright, what's up guys? I'm good with Polo, and I'm going to try to answer one of the most asked questions that I get, which is, when do you build Bloodrazor, when do you build Warrior? There's no definitive answer for this, so before I go into any detail, this is all 100% my opinion, and it varies between Kindred players. Like Sir Celery takes Warrior, Forston takes Bloodrazor. It's all based on what you believe and what you decide is good for you. There'll be infographics on screen throughout this video to like explain it or kind of have in text what I'm saying. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using the test dummies with 100 armor, which prevents 50% damage reduction. It's flat 50% damage reduction. And then we're also going to be using the little raptors because they have 0 armor and champions don't have 0 armor. There's no real way to find a good medium for armor because like armor changes based on people. So to start with, we're going to talk about the warrior and we're going to talk about the cons. Or not the cons, the pros. The pros of warrior are it gives you 60 damage per auto attack because your auto attack scale 1-to-1 with your AD. It gives you ability scaling, which what I mean by that is every single one of your abilities other than your ult has an AD ratio, so it increases the damage on all of your abilities, and it gives 10% CDR. The 10% CDR is nice early game on your ult, which has a 3-minute long cooldown early game. So there's that. The ability scaling, the way it works with warrior is the warrior adds 39 damage to your Q, 12 damage to your W, and 48 damage to your E. Now, that sounds pretty nice, and you think that's pretty real, like, that's pretty nice, and the only real con to it is it doesn't provide attack speed, and obviously, as an auto-attack based champion, you really like attack speed, so you play more around your abilities when you take Warrior than you do with Bloodrazor. But to kind of show the 1-to-1 ratio is, do note that the jungle item adds 40 damage, so subtract 40 damage from all the damage I do, but then, like, the numbers are weird because your AD goes to like 0.5 AD and stuff, so the game does round it even if it doesn't show that. So, if I auto attack this right here and add 48 damage, you would think that I will add 40 damage to it. If I auto attack it, it's going to do 223 damage. So that's if it's a 1-to-1 ratio right there. But it does 222 because the damage numbers are a little wonky sometimes, and it's 1 damage is missing because of the points in your AD. It's odd, but overall, it does, if you subtract the 40 damage, it does about the right amount of damage. That's against 0 armor. Now against something with 100 armor, which has 50% damage reduction, it's obviously going to do about, what, 80, or no, like 91 damage, 92 damage? Yeah. It does 91 damage because it took away 50% of the damage. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, that's how warrior works. I'll go into more builds after I explain and show how each jungle item works. This is really basic, I know, but I'm going to explain both of these. So now we're going to go over to the Bloodrazor. And obviously we'll talk about the pros of the Bloodrazor. The Bloodrazor, for one, provides attack speed. That's really nice in its own. Like 50% attack speed is really nice. The other good part about Bloodrazor is Bloodrazor provides an infinitely scaling jungle item in terms of damage, and what I mean by that is as long as the enemy's HP is going up, Bloodrazor's damage is going up, so his value is going up. At 1500 health, Bloodrazor adds 60 damage to each auto, the same as Warrior, and almost every game champions are going to exceed 60 or 1500 health, so it is, in my opinion, great, but you lose the ability scaling. That's the issue for some people, is like, you lose the ability scaling, so it's not as good if you're building like crit and AD items. But, for example, it does 4% max health, so on a target with 400 health like this, it has 16 damage plus your AD. So, 16 damage, what is that? That's like 134 damage? Okay. So it's 134 damage plus 40, so it should be about 174 damage. And it's 174 damage. That's how the percent health damage works. And then we can go over here, same to this. It would, 4% of 10,000 health is 400 health. Plus 118, so it would be 518. But you have to divide 518 in half. So whenever you auto it, you get 259 instead. That's how the percent max health damage works. The percent max health damage adds on to your AD after the auto. Again, do know this damage all changes based on if the enemy has more or less armor, if they have Ninja Tabi, if they have Phantom Dancer. That all changes the damage. You can't really, I can't showcase that because it literally is game by game basis and champion by champion basis. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example of how like this the Bloodrazor build works in team fights and stuff. This is not to be used as like, I'm going to do this much damage. Do note that I have a lot of percent health damage in this with plus my abilities do a lot of percent health damage. These targets have 10,000 health. Do not take this as how much damage you're going to do. I'm just here to show you how much damage you do to grouped enemies, because you do a lot of damage obviously to the one person you're attacking, but with on-hit and a hurricane, you do a lot of shred damage to people grouped around them. In my opinion, on-hit is the much better build for teams who are grouping. It is much, much better against teams who are going to be grouping a lot. It's not as good as against things that are going to be split pushing, in my opinion, like a Tryndamere all game. So, for example, we're going to spend 10 seconds attacking this at 12 minutes, and we're going to just be using our abilities. Okay, so with 12 seconds attacking these, you can see I did 14,000 total damage to the main target, and then at the same time, I did 11,000 to the 2 targets behind it. So, while yes, I did, obviously that's percent health damage that's doing that to 10,000 damage, ignore the actual values, but as you can see, you were still shredding 2 people grouped around him while also shredding your main target. So, in a team fight, opposed to having something like a rapid fire cannon and an IE and a warrior and stuff, this does so much extra damage in a team fight, but against one person, yeah, you're gonna shred that one person, but you're not really getting the use out of like hurricane and things. You don't necessarily need this against one person. You more or less want the burst, because while yeah, that's nice, the DPS values on it aren't going to be as well, DPS is going to be higher. Your burst damage though isn't going to be as high, which is what you want. Now, I'm also going to go and show you guys an example with the warrior build and just show you that and compare that. So I guess an example first we could do, nah. Okay, now we're back with what I would call an average build for the warrior. Excuse me, my throat's a little sore still. I've turned to press the attack, and we're going to show in a team fight exactly how this would work. So obviously you would go to the enemy, auto Q auto, use your full combo, and then like as soon as your full combo is done, congratulations, you're pretty much done with a team fight. As you can see, you really didn't do all that much damage to the enemies behind it, which is one of the issues with taking press the attack and warrior not going like hurricane and things. You don't have that much potential to damage multiple people in a team fight. And I know I didn't do the 10 seconds of attacking there, but there was no point in that because it's not going to show much. You don't really do much damage to any side targets. With a build like crit and warrior, you're more of an assassin type champion. Now, obviously, you're not really an assassin, but you're more of an assassin type champion who's really good at attacking one target rather than multiple targets. Because as you can see, these two didn't really take much of anything. Well, yes, this one target obviously took a good bit of damage. Those two didn't take anything. Those two didn't. That didn't matter at all. Now, but when it comes to attacking a single target, like you're really good at attacking a single target. Like you can see, you can kill this. You can kill something like this really easily. Like you can do 10,000 damage pretty fast. But it doesn't really matter because in the end, if you can't exactly kill multiple people in a team fight, you're not going to be effective in a team fight type comp. So you're more of a split pushing assassin type when you build warrior. I mean, you can still help in a team fight. You can still look for the priority target. You can still try to like get to the back line, kill their ADC, you know, do that. But you're not exactly all that useful in terms of fighting multiple people at once without a hurricane and without on hit. Now, that's not to say this build's worse though, because like I said, it has its own unique thing. Like, it's a very heavy burst style, like, a build, essentially. Like, this one auto does a lot of damage. Like, you can just run up on somebody, essentially, and just use your full combo, and you'll destroy their health. And on top of that, when you build crit, your E scales off of crit, your execute. So when you have 60% crit like I do, you get 30% extra threshold. So at 40, when an enemy is below 45% health with just a rapid fire and an infinity edge, you do 50% more damage with their E to them. Now, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. The only issue I have with that is sometimes it doesn't really, it's not worth the trade-off of not having on hit, because crit damage itself is reduced by things like Randuin's, and then on top of that, they can stack Tabi with Randuin's, and it's just, and the armor, and like their normal armor, and it's just not worth it, in my opinion, in higher heals. When people start to build tanky is when it stops becoming relevant, in my opinion, and I personally just prefer to not exactly have that. I think at the start of the video, I should have talked about like the actual runes and the actual build that I would recommend using. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it helps even some way. It's not perfect. I know it's really hard to explain this because there's no right or wrong answer, and there's no good way to show it because everything literally depends on the game. Like, if you're struggling to climb in ranked and you want to climb in ranked and you want to know what's best and stuff, there is no best really for Kindred. If you're struggling in ranked, you have to figure out what each game is hurting with you. That's the way you start to climb as ranked, is you have to be able to adapt every game. So there's no right or wrong answer. You have to choose what you want to do. But I will see you guys tomorrow with my next video. I hope this helps in some way, but goodbye for now, guys. Okay, I know the video or at the end there, it's kind of a vague explanation because I couldn't really show you much with the warrior and I couldn't show you that much with the Bloodrazor. But essentially, the point of that was to show you in team fights with multiple targets, Bloodrazor does so much damage to multiple people clumped up. Warrior does not. Warrior is a single target type thing if you're building crit. If you're building crit without on hit effects, go for warrior. Go for a single target fighting. Go for a splitting assassination style. If you want a team fight and stuff, on hit is better in terms of it just shreds people. It shreds tanks and squishies alike. There's really not very many boundaries for it. You pick the style that fits you and go for that. Either one works. Neither is a bad playstyle. In my opinion, in higher elo, it's much better to do on hit. That's just my opinion though. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, play your style. I hope you all have a good day.